This is the plaintiff, William Smith. He says the defendants are his former landlords, and boy, were they terrible. The house was in bad shape. The lawn sprinklers watered the driveway, not the grass, and all his complaints fell on deaf ears. He says he didn't want to waste water, so he shut them off, and now that he's moved out, the defendants refuse to return his security, claiming the lawn is damaged. Huh? He's suing for $5,000, the amount he's owed. These are the defendants, Sonia and Benny Binstock. Sonia says the plaintiff rented their newly renovated house, and the lease states he was responsible for maintaining the lawn. The plaintiff never complained they weren't working properly. If he had, they would have repaired them, and they're just and right in keeping his security to pay for all the damage he caused. They're accused of being all wet.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff says that the defendants, his landlords, left the place he rented in a state of disrepair. And now, after the plaintiff has moved out, the defendants won't return the security deposit. But the defendants claim the guy was responsible for maintaining the house. He neglected it. They have every right to keep his money. It's the case of I owe you
I have
nothing.
been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, represented here by Mr. Smith. You are suing Mr. and Mrs. Binstock, your former landlords, for $5,000 in a security deposit that they have, according to you, unlawfully not returned. Tell me what happened.
Yes, we moved in on September 2016. We had 2 dogs. I had a son and a wife.
Okay, so you rented
And
there
we-
for how many years?
6 years.
And then what?
We put down our security deposit for $5,000, paid our $2,900 of rent for, 6 years, and we intermittently had issues with the place, with air conditioning and things like that, but they were very accommodating. But the one issue was the sprinklers and the landscape. They were never really working properly in the front yard or the backyard. They were watering the driveway, they were watering the side of the wall in the backyard. So we were wasting a lot of water, and some of the heads weren't working. And the gardeners, the first gardener was great, but they really came and just trimmed the trees and mowed the lawn and never did any work on the sprinklers. They would turn them on. Once they would come on, we'd see that there was some flooding or some sprinklers pointed the different direction.
But this isn't like a really this is like a super easy thing to fix. I don't get it. Did you ever complain to Mr. and Mrs. Binstock?
Yeah, we did. We said the sprinklers aren't working, the timer wasn't working, it was off. And we told the gardeners that as they kept turning them on, they said, the sprinklers aren't working. So we basically turned them off.
Do you have any evidence of, if they're not working, why do you have to turn them off?
Well, they're not working, meaning that they're spraying water every which way. And
okay, do you have any evidence of having told the Binstocks this?
Other than a phone call or something, no.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Binstock, who wants to speak? Sonia or Benny?
Sonia.
I guess I will.
Okay. Did you or your husband ever receive a complaint about the sprinklers?
We were aware of every so often the sprinklers having issues. This is why we had a gardener. But it was mostly complaints about air conditioning. We really,
I don't care about the air conditioning. I am targeting the sprinkler issue because I'm trying to see how, I've seen the pictures. There is no lawn at your house, and there used to be a beautiful lawn, and I'm wondering how we get from point A to point B.
By not watering.
Well, yes, or by not fixing broken sprinklers. It's going to be one or the other. See this beautiful, lush green lawn when you move in, Mr. Smith, and then this when you move out. Yeah, that's a problem. And so the question becomes, is it a problem because you folks didn't fix the sprinklers after being notified, or your gardeners didn't fix the sprinklers after being notified, or is it a problem because he wants to save money on water and he turns them off?
I think it's the latter, because even if there was a problem with a sprinkler, there would be a head, and the gardeners were on top of it. So their instruction was to fix whatever was wrong, if there was an issue, because we certainly don't want to have to replace the lawn. So that's an easy fix.
Yeah.
So if there was that was their duty. That's what they did. That's what we.
I mean, there
paid
was
for.
never a time when the Binstocks weren't paying a gardener. So, Mr. Smith, why shouldn't I believe that maybe you're turning off the water, especially when you tell me, well, I'd turn it off because it wasn't working anyway. And on something so nonsensical like the direction of the water. I mean, I've been known to just, switch them myself. I don't know what kind of sprinkler system you have there and what these heads cost. You are keeping a very substantial amount of money, though, on this issue, Ms. Binstock. $5,000 of a security deposit? How come?
No, actually, it's not 5 because it's we did return a check for $1,650.
You're right. I apologize. I forgot about that. Is $1,650 the correct figure?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
it's $3,350. Now, I see an estimate from, I guess, a lawn guy.
Yes. Well, he's all around guy.
Yeah,
yes.
I can tell
He's the
because
one- it's people did the yeah.
Yeah.
He did the plumbings and everything, and Bill knows him very well, and he's a very reputable guy.
Are you asking for this whole $2,500 from his security deposit?
No.
How much are
well,
you asking for?
because, okay, so the amount that was withheld is for the grass and also for the broken tile.
Okay. No, we're going to get to the tile and we're going to get to the door jam in a minute. How much are you asking for the lawn issue?
Okay, so it would be, so he separated only that. So Eduardo's not very good at putting down information very clearly. So the repairs to the tile.
No, hold on with the tile.
Hang on, it was.
All I want to know is the grass. How much of the lawn issue do you think he's responsible for? Because what you handed me was $2,500, and there's a bunch of things here a tenant's not responsible for. Tree trimming is gardener work. That's your issue. It's not his.
Well, okay. What I was trying to say was that it was that amount minus the $850. So since we didn't do the math, the $850 was charged for the tile and the door casing that had to be replaced.
Okay. And
So it
now,
was the
can you answer my question, which is, so what you're saying is $3,350 minus $850 is the amount for the lawn. And that would be $2,500, which is what
Correct.
this receipt says. Let's see the receipt. Okay? And this receipt for $2,500 includes a bunch of stuff that is not a tenant responsibility, such as new sprinkler timers. You see it? It's right there. New
Yes, I
sprinkler
know. I'm
tires,
looking
tea
at
trimming.
it.
Okay,
Yes.
tea trimming. So you're not going to get $2,500. It's not appropriate for you to withhold $2,500 for the lawn issue. Yes, I tend to agree with you that this is a matter of deciding you're not going to water the lawn, and there's a consequence for that. But the consequence is not $2,500. Now let's talk about the door jamb. Apparently, Mr. Smith, you put one of those pull-up things in the door jamb. Is that correct?
Yeah, you just place it. You don't install it, you just place it up there, yes.
And did it do some damage in the door jamb?
No,
Okay, let's see the picture of it. What's this a picture of, Mr. Smith?
that's an indentation into the
Oh, you think
door
maybe
jamb.
the tension rod did that?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
so it did do
absolutely
damage.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
so then it did do
did it-
damage. You said no, but it did do damage.
I didn't think it did, but you
Well, you
were
had to
correct.
see that when you took the pole out. You had to see that it
Yeah.
did that damage. Did you fix it before you left, or you left it that way?
No, we didn't fix it.
Okay. Now, also, let's talk about the tile damage that you wanted to show me, Mr. and Mrs. Binstock. Let's start with this. This is in what room?
Kitchen. It's all in the kitchen.
So, how did these chip? Did something drop on them, Mr. Smith?
Probably. We were
Yeah.
there for 6 years,
Yeah.
so probably yes.
Although, and I get it was a long time. It's not a one-year lease or anything, but I don't know if I'd call this wear and tear as opposed to damage. I think I would call that damage. But again, what did your handyman do? Did he replace the tiles?
He replaced it.
So you
yes.
had some extras.
We had extras.
Right.
Yes, they were in the garage.
And
yeah.
how do you figure $850 for the door jamb and the replacement of the tiles? Where's the receipt for that? I'd like to see proof that you paid Eduardo $3,350.
You have a receipt for $5,000 and $1,500 with six.
Yeah, but that includes a bunch of other work. I want
know,
to,
but
yeah.
he never separated it. I'm sorry. That's how he. It's
Yeah,
hard to,
I kind of, I think you guys are overreaching a little. I do. All right, I'm going to allow you to keep $1,000 for the lawn, $500 for the damage. That's $1,500. That means that of the $5,000 that was in his security deposit, you have a right to keep $1,500 and return $3,500. Instead, you returned $1,650, which means that you still owe Mr. Smith $1,850. Verdict for Mr. Smith.
Mr. Benstock, how do you feel about the judge's decision? You got to give that back to the plaintiff. What do you think about it?
Well, it's costing much more than that. Unfortunately, the receipts don't explain it very well because they're clumped together. So since we can't itemize it as clearly as it should be, I guess it is what it is.
You know what's amazing here, though? That lawn looks so terrible, Mr. Smith. It reflects on you. It make it look like you just didn't give a damn about where you look. You know? Did you ever think about it that way?
Well, no, it didn't. We did give a damn, and we were very respectful of their home. But the repeated malfunctioning of the sprinklers was not our responsibility. And the gardeners, there was a language barrier, obviously, and they did not tend to the sprinklers or the landscape. They just literally went in, mowed the lawn, trimmed some of the trees,
mow and blow,
and that was it.
Did you ever try and fix a sprinkler yourself? You know, it's not that hard.
Well, I mean, it's number one, it's not my responsibility to do that, and number two, there was so many that weren't working properly that no, I didn't want to do that. I don't own the house, so no.
Yeah, all right. Well, you live there, and it really reflects on you. Good luck to you, okay? Hope you don't have lawn problems in your next place. And that'll bring this case to a close. What do you think, Harvey?
So, Doug, make sure if you rent a place, especially a house, that you know who is responsible for maintaining it. You know, we're talking about the lawn, who's responsible for watering it, fertilizing it, who's responsible for the inside. If you put all of that in the lease and make it very specific, you likely will not end up in court.
Marilyn, have you ever gotten sick and thought you had COVID? And have you taken a rapid test, and do you keep those things at your house?
Oh, you think? You know, they test us a lot here at People's Court, so we're tested constantly, you and I. And,
almost like every other day.
Yeah,
right?
Maybe, I don't know, feels like it's more than that.
I just got tested like 15
I just got
minutes
tested
ago.
15 minutes ago. I had something up my nose. Yes, I have. I was afraid just recently because I felt really sick. I felt really tired, and my daughter tested positive.
Right.
So I marched everybody in cars to my doctor's office. You were all like, "This is unnecessary." I'm like, "Everybody's going, and everybody's getting tested." And Sophie had tested positive in a rapid test that came from the store. And then that morning, all of us took a rapid test, and everyone, including Sophie, was negative.
That's right.
But I was sick and Sophie was sick, so we just stayed home anyway. We get our PCR 6 days later when the stay-at-home thing is now 5 days, so no matter what, it was what it was. And the PCR was negative for everyone but Sophie. So she got positive, negative, positive PCR, and I apparently didn't have it. So I want to recount, and I think they're wrong, but who knows?
I'm the worst about going to the doctor or going to a hospital when you're sick. I didn't go for like 3 or 4 days after my heart attack in 2017.
Yeah.
Right? And when I had pneumonia...
When you had a 99% occlusion of the widowmaker, but you wouldn't go to the doctor.
Yeah, I figured they'd kill me at the hospital. But anyway, when I had pneumonia a few years ago, I lost like 15 pounds before one day. I said, maybe I should go to the hospital.
No, you didn't say maybe I should go to the hospital. I forced you to go right into the ER because it was just too much.
Yeah.
And, you're the worst about that. You are.
That's true.